And welcome into the Sports Shuffle, the podcast where coughing is not prevented. I am flying Ryan Gokers along with.
Tampa Motor Mouth Joel Verona. Speaking of choking, we definitely have had some teams that did that in week 9. Boy.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of good games for week number 9 to really talk about. So we're gonna do the recap of week 9. We'll do our picks for the Thursday night spectacular Carolina at Chicago, also known as the reason I'll be watching the season finale of Loki as it drops at 9 p.m.
Probably a better time than watching that god
I
awful
mean,
matchup.
9 p.m., you're going to miss like half the second quarter and halftime. And it's two dog crap teams playing a dog crap game on a dog crap night. So, hey, season finale of Loki will get my full attention for about
And
an hour. And then I'll go back to the suck
well,
already in progress between
you actually
Carolina and
had
Chicago.
two semi okay decent games, so there was a pooper that was scheduled to come up.
The primetime schedule this week is full of poop. We will get to that in our next episode. We go over the podcast for the picks for the week. However, worth mentioning, Jets Raiders on Sunday night, and then Denver Buffalo on Monday.
Oh my good god!
Mmm, that tasty,
Is,
tasty primetime
is this
football.
a week where it might be a good backup plan to have alternative forms of entertainment in the case of emergency break glass?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Jets on prime
Oh,
time for Monday night,
and
and then you can use that to make a decision on your plans for Sunday night.
can I do a quick sports non sequitur and say
Okay.
that darkness has arisen? There are a little bit of light shining through in San Jose as the Sharks have finally won a game.
Woo! They beat Philly 2-1, and yeah, hell is frozen over. Get your affairs in order. The end is here.
I- If
Anyways, they
if
did
we
win.
could do like effects and music, I would take the winning call of from the San Jose feed. I would transpose it with Mike and the Mechanics. All I need is a miracle. All I need is you, and have
You're
that
getting songs.
playing in the background.
All I need is a miracle. Yeah, yeah. It would be very fitting because I mean, took a play against Philadelphia to get it done, but finally on the board with the win. San Jose Sharks not going winless on the season. Congratulations to that big pile of turd in San Jose that's
Hallelujah!
playing
Holy
hockey.
bleep! Where's the Tylenol?
Only about 70 more games to go before the season's over for us. If we can get to double digit wins, that'd be very
It's
surprising at
sort of
how close
feeling
we
like
are.
for a while, it was feeling like it's Groundhog Day. You turn over, all of a sudden you're waiting for "I Got You, Babe" to play again.
Yeah, I saw a meme saying San Jose Sharks bingo. Which team's going to score the most against San Jose in a single game? Yeah, number to beat is 10, and I have a funny feeling it'll be beaten. Anyways, let's talk some football
Instead of
because
talking about crappy hockey teams, we're going to talk about some crappy NFL teams now.
so let's go with some news. Debo Samuels will be a full go this week. He's coming back off the bye and the fracture in the shoulder. That is good to know. Pop Demario Douglas ankle injury limited in practice. David Montgomery full go at practice. So Jameer Gibbs owners keep that in mind. But if you have David Montgomery, you can plug
Justin,
him back in. He's been fantastic.
Justin Jefferson designated to return from IR.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson opened the practice window. Not a guarantee he plays. In fact, I've seen long shot to play this week. Let me find that exact report. Kevin O'Connell said it would be a little aggressive to think that Justin Jefferson could play Sunday versus the Saints, though he can't wait to get back out there. So um, I don't think he plays this week, but the end of the injury timeout is on the horizon. Same with Kyler Murray, who has been activated. He will start for the Cardinals, barring any obscure setbacks this week. And for the Cardinals, James Conner opened the practice window for him as well. So they've got 3 weeks to activate him. Christian Watson no longer in the concussion protocol because he's been so good for the Packers lately. Um,
Is he playing football this year?
I mean, I think he's got a stretch of like 5 straight weeks where he scored between 4 and 5 fantasy points. So he's nothing but
I
consistent and bad.
Yeah, want to ask again, is he playing this year? Mm-mm.
Tyson Bagent will be starting for the Bears on Thursday night versus Carolina. I think it's a good look that Justin Fields will probably be back for week number 11. He was questionable, now doubtful. But Tyson Bagent will get the start against Carolina. No Jamar Chase at practice. Had a back injury in the game
Hmm.
against the Bills. He fought through it, but it got worse as the
Something
game
definitely worth
progressed.
monitoring as just Burrow and the Bengals have actually started looking better, more like last year's team. So all of a sudden, if his prime weapon isn't available, that's got to be some concern
Yeah,
for
if
Joe
you had
Burrow.
Jamar Chase in week number 9, you noticed he was not his normal self out there for fantasy and reality. So keep an eye on that this week. It's not a guarantee he plays. Still very premature to make an assumption, but no practice on Wednesday. And they did say the injury got worse as the game went along. That is not good news, but it
Um,
is still, of course, only Wednesday.
especially with the Bengals turning the ship around.
Yep. After the Rams got beat by the Packers
That was
with Brett Rippin at
that was
quarterback.
that was decimated.
Yeah, Brett Rippon at quarterback. He has been released, and the Rams have officially agreed to terms with one Carson Wentz. Now, the good news is there's no guarantee Matt Stafford misses another game. This could just be an upgrade at the backup quarterback. And trust me, Carson Wentz is a
I mean, he
backup.
needed the upgrade. Rippin was freaking awful.
Yes, he's an upgrade over Brett Rippon. He's not an upgrade over Stafford, of course, but he is an upgrade over Rippon. So Wentz, they got 1 week until the bye week. We'll see. We'll see. Or maybe they're on bye week next. No, they're on bye week this week. So Matt Stafford should be back for week 11, but Carson
Could have
Wentz
could
has 2
have
weeks to get prepared either way.
could have argued the Rams and Cardinals were on a bye week this week.
6 points for the entire NFC West this week. Niners were on bye. Cardinals got shut out, and Seahawks and Rams both with 3 apiece. We'll get to those games later. Nico Collins for the Texans because everybody had a big game. Did not practice on Wednesday. Zay Jones looks like he might be going to IR.
Except the run game.
Yeah. Damian Pierce for those same Texans not practicing as well. And yeah, that is the major news. Tommy DeVito will be the starter Sunday for
Have fun, Giant
Giants
fans.
against Dallas. I'd like to remind everybody that when Dallas played the Giants week number 1 with Daniel Jones, the Cowboys won 40-0, and the defense was dominant. So if you're unlucky enough to play the Dallas defense week number 1 and you're in a 10-team league and it repeats the second part of the beginning of the schedule, you're playing Dallas's defense again. Oh boy, it's just not a good situation.
How many Giants players are going to be coach? I don't feel well this week, coach.
Just hand the ball to Saquon Barkley 45 times and take your beat down and move on. A team that should have went out and grabbed Carson Wentz is the New York Giants. I mean, that's going to be better than what they've got. We'll see. I think they do bring in somebody else at some point, but this week it is going to be Tommy, don't call me Danny DeVito.
Yeah, DeVito. Someone's going to be starting him in fantasy.
Yeah, I saw someone in a dynasty league, given a dynasty league, pick him up off of waivers and immediately put him on the trade block. Even though it wasn't picked up in like the waivers clear overnight, he picked him up when it was the free claim period. So nobody wanted him. Picked him up straight on the trade block. No activity has been noticed so far on that offer. Anyways, let's move into last week's games. We'll talk quickly about the Steelers' 20-16 win over the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry looked good. Deontay Johnson, first touchdown in an eon and a half. Najee Harris looking a lot better than he did the first half of the season. A little bit down to earth for Will Levis in this one. Did not quite do as well as he did against the who did they play the week before? Was that the Bucks?
Yeah, that was Bucks and Bills.
Yeah.
Bucks and Bills.
I'm saying who did Titans play in week 8? He looked very good against them. Just blanking on who it was. The Falcons. I knew it was a red and black team. Didn't look quite as good in week number 9 against Pittsburgh, but we'll see what he does next week. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, just pretty much for this one, one up and one down. The up definitely has to be Deontay Johnson. even if he just added on a touchdown. Hallelujah. First touchdown since week 17 of 2021, of course, when Ben Roethlisberger was behind QB. But Johnson also tacked on 7 receptions and 90 receiving yards for a second straight game with at least 85 yards and at least 7 receptions. He's back. And
Yeah.
the downer, yeah, that would, especially with all of the craziness going on, that would have to be George Pickens, who, of course, had a frustrating night, getting 5 targets, but only turning 2 of those into a play for a whopping -1 yard. You sort of thought he was on the Giants for a second there. And
Yeah.
yeah, one of the targets saw Pickens miss a TD by just a half a foot. And then, of course, as we know, all of the social media drama with Pickens putting on his Instagram, free me, and unfollowing some Steelers and uh, scrubbing some pictures, and all that jazz. So
Yeah, which is a real smart thing to do after the trade deadline. You're stuck there until at least the end of the season. Seems like a real crap teammate. When Deontay Johnson got the touchdown, he was one of the few people that didn't go out and celebrate with him. First touchdown in God knows how long. He just walked away like sulking. It was not a good look for him. Yeah, not. I don't know about George Pickens long term in Pittsburgh. All right, next up we go to Sunday morning football from Germany.
your Dolphins didn't wake up
Tail,
until the second half.
yeah, tale of two halves in this one. The Chiefs are up 21-0 at halftime. Controversial fumble recovery that we'll get to. But a nice halftime lead for the Chiefs. They hold on late
I,
and hold on to the win against the Dolphins.
I was listening to the Dolphins broadcast, and it just seems like you lost. You wanted to take a drink every time the Dolphin broadcasters were wondering about why the Chiefs were getting the calls.
Yeah, that does seem to happen. The big play of the game, though, was a Tyreek Hill fumble, recovered for a touchdown, and a huge return. The issue I have with that play is Tyreek Hill was being pushed back 6 steps before the fumble occurred. How is that a fumble? I don't know. We have something called forward progress. But too many self-inflicted wounds for the Miami Dolphins in this one. You really showed the loss of Devon Achane, whose jersey I'm wearing today, when guys like Ahmed and Mostert just couldn't break through and make that one guy miss to open up all the rushing lanes. Dolphins did look a lot better than the Chiefs in the majority of this game. The Chiefs had a good opening drive and a good drive late in the second quarter, but outside of that, the offense was shut down. Travis Kelce, 3 for 14 yards. 3 catches for 14 yards for Travis Kelce is something that does not happen. But they get the win. They move to 7-2. They remain on top of the AFC as the Dolphins fall to 6-3. But fortunately, the rest of the AFCS fell with them this week.
Yeah, the definite ups for this game. Both defenses. I mean,
Yeah.
Chiefs defense ruled the first half.
First game for the Dolphins with Ramsey, Howard, and Holland, and it made a difference.
Yeah, Dolphins defense pretty much ruled the second half, as you just mentioned it. Having Jalen Ramsey back in the lineup really helped out the defense big time. And Dolphins didn't come away for a win today. Definitely have a lot of criticism going everywhere. Dolphins really aren't a Super Bowl team when they have to go up against the big boys. But I still think that if they had played just a little bit better in that first half, they might have had a chance to win the game. And of
And a
course,
quick note on the Dolphins' losses: they've lost on the road in Buffalo against a very good divisional opponent, on the road against the reigning NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles, and outside of the country against the reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Their losses, and they're getting closer in every one of those losses. They're playing top of the NFL teams on the road, and they're getting closer. I'm not worried about this team at all.
four downs for this game. Raheem Mostert, yeah, he just hasn't seemed to be himself since the Pittsburgh game. You can only start if he's and if I'm wondering if he's dealing with some kind of ailment right now, as how much work will continue to be once rookie. The man the jersey that you're wearing, Mr. Achan, gets back from IR. So yeah, Wilson Jr. just you have to ask where is the excitement and yeah, Tyreek Hill. How do you say where is Tyreek Hill in German? And big down Dolphins first half.
Yeah, the first half was rough. Achan is expected to be back after the bye week that the Dolphins and Chiefs are both on this week, coming back from Germany. And I mean, I like where this team looks like they're going. Tyreek will be better, and you're not going to play the defending Super Bowl champions most weeks. So, Dolphins, I know there's a lot of hype out there saying they can't beat a good team. I want to remind everybody the Chargers are now 4-4. That's a team the Dolphins have beaten. So that whole we can't beat a team above 500. The Chargers win next week, which who are they playing this week? They're playing Detroit. So not an easy matchup by any means, but they do have the possibility of getting above 500 for the first time all year. But yeah, Chiefs offense still does not look good. Still leaves a lot to be desired.
Oh
But the
yeah,
defense
because
is
the one
the
question
pace of
there
them.
is outside of Kelsey to Tyreek, not Tyreek, Kelsey.
Who does it go to?
Mahomes to Kelsey. Sorry, my brain is like Mahomes to Kelsey. It's like his receivers just aren't really all that trustworthy. Yeah, Darius Tony sometimes good, sometimes
Yeah,
bad.
Rasheed Rice is about it. And I said
Mhm.
last week when we made our picks, the Dolphins have to shut down Kelsey and make the rest of the receivers beat you. They shut down Kelsey. It was that controversial fumble when the guy's being pushed backwards that decided the game. And the Dolphins shot themselves in the foot quite a bit. They made some bad plays, made some bad decisions. The fumble on the final offensive play of the game because the snap was bad. The
Yeah, that,
Dolphins, despite not playing their best, had opportunities to
yeah, because
win, even with the calls not going
yeah,
their way.
one of the opportunities was when Chris Jones of all people committed a huge penalty.
And they did
That they,
capitalize on that one.
yeah, because they
Mostert got
gave
the touchdown.
Yeah, because they gave the Dolphins a gift horse,
Yeah.
and they definitely did not look the gift horse in the mouth in that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's still got a lot of time left in the season. They have games against Buffalo, Baltimore, two against the Jets. They have Dallas in there, so there's some tough matchups coming down the pike for the Dolphins. If they can get some wins against those teams, they've got some pushovers. They've got Vegas. Um,
Vegas
they've
not as
got
much of a
Washington.
Vegas not as much of a pushover as before. I don't think.
Well, they're also playing the Giants. We'll get to that here shortly.
Mm.
Let's move on. We spent a lot of time on this game. Next up, Vikings.
Giants are a pushover.
Vikings 31-28 win on the back of
Oh boy,
backup emergency traded starting quarterback from the Cardinals to the
what,
Vikings.
what's the name?
Wasn't supposed to play.
What's the name I heard on Sirius Fantasy XM? The Pastronaut.
Yeah. Joshua Dobbs, the national hero for beating the Falcons and horrible head coach Arthur Smith. The highlight of this
Can't
game
call him
was
the mustache anymore. I think he shaved it.
yeah, he got rid of it, but he is a horrible person and a horrible head coach, especially if you have any of his guys in fantasy, because he had an end around to John Smith at the
That
goal line with
that
Tyler Algier
helped
in the backfield.
no freaking buddy.
Oh my God. You have Kyle Pitts and you have Bijan Robinson, both top 10 overall picks in your offense. And you're going to run an end around with John Smith and have Tyler Algier in the backfield. And
What
Arthur
the
Smith,
actual?
Bijan's doing really good away from the ball. Shut up, you fool. I hope you lose all of the games the rest of the way. So Joshua Dobbs, national hero for coming in relief as the Jaron Hall got a concussion in the first quarter.
He got knocked
Dobbs
the
led the
bleep
way.
out.
Yeah.
As ups for this game, definitely Joshua Dobbs. He made ridiculous plays with his leg, showed great poise, and led a game-winning drive on the road. As his stats weren't great, but man, he was just unbelievable that day. And you gotta hand it to Kevin O'Connell. He was without his top quarterback. He was without the best wide receiver in the freaking league, and an elite left tackle on the road, and the team won. It was a coaching masterclass. And of course, the wet West. You know the pain. If you started Bijan Robinson again in week 9, he may have had more rushing yards than Tyler Algier, but lost a fumble. And Algier vultured a touchdown from him. Mediocre day on the field and in fantasy, as you're just wondering what is going on with all the hype. And yeah, you just mentioned him. Arthur Smith, Minnesota was incredibly shorthanded, went into Atlanta and won. No Kirk Cousin, no Justin Jefferson, no Christian Darrisaw, no KJ Osborne, who actually was knocked out in the middle of the game. No Cam Akers. They also don't have him for the rest of the season now either.
Yep.
And also left the game and didn't return, as there was no excuse for the Falcons to lose today with 2 consecutive losing seasons. his seat. Theme song is "The Heat Is On."
Yeah, a big up for Alexander Madison in the fantasy game as he is now going to be back on his own. And Joshua Dobbs coming in and playing with a very good offense. This could be something that salvages their season. I don't think the Vikings are a Super Bowl team by any means.
Raise your hand if you want to see Arthur Smith gone on Black Monday.
I want him gone before that. Bijan Robinson might be the worst draft pick for fantasy football this year. I mean, you
Oh,
draft him
heck
top
yeah,
6,
no
top
argument.
top 8, and he's been just horrible. There's been a lot of misses. I mean, Derrick Henry's had some bad games. Josh Jacobs had some bad games. I mean, Devontae Adams is on a milk carton because of that offense. And I would say Bijan's probably the most disappointing of all of them.
Oh boy, just remember all the Bijan hype that you had, and when you originally had drafted, if you got Bijan, you were excited, and now week 9, you're not going into week 10. You're not as excited. You have a little buyer's remorse going on.
Yeah, remember the trade deadlines for most leagues are coming up. So if you want to get rid of Bijan, now is the time to try and do it. Next up,
Who's going to take him though?
oh, someone in your league's gonna be desperate for a running back. Next up, I thought the Seahawks could win this game, and I was wrong.
I I I, th- I thought Baltimore was going to win. I didn't think they were going to stomp them into the freaking ground.
Baltimore wins 37-3. Gus Edwards 2 touchdowns on 5 total carries. Keaton Mitchell, yes, if you don't know that name, he's an undrafted
You have
rookie.
no idea who that is.
9 carries for 143 yards and a score. A lot of hype in the preseason that had some injuries, so he might challenge Gus Edwards and Justice Hill down the line. Not a great game for Lamar Jackson, but mostly because the damage came on the ground. Although Mark Andrews still a decent day for the Seahawks. Oh boy, pretty much if you had anybody on the Seahawks roster, you weren't happy.
Yeah, ups for this game, of course, Gus Bus, while Lamar Jackson owners were bummed. Edwards managers were elated beyond belief. 17 fantasy points, most formats. Baltimore defense. How about this on a silver platter? 4 sacks and an interception, 15 fantasy points. We'll take it. The counterpart, Seattle's defense, didn't cost anyone any points, but had uno fantasy point for the downs for this game. Yeah, that would be pretty much Seattle, DK and company. Probably lost you a week with this horrid performance. And Lamar on the down, as it's just one of those crazy coinkydinks. Even with all those points, you're just looking at the score and you're rubbing your hand like the dude behind the tree. And then you open up your fantasy app and you have a shock because, Lamar was the 5th highest player, just over 10 fantasy points. Odell Beckham freaking Jr. had a better day than Lamar Jackson. Yeah. Just crazy.
When it gets done on the ground, it hurts the quarterback, and that's what happened here. And we move on. The dumbest touchdown reception I've ever seen happen in the next game. Amari Cooper off of the helmet of the defender via Deshaun Watson's doink off his face. Browns do win 27-0. Clayton Tune is terrible.
Is that a football equivalent of rolling a 20?
Yeah, that's a nat 20 on that one. It's probably rolling like a 2 and then having a secondary check you roll a nat 20 on, probably. But yeah, we're nerds. The Cardinals, though, Kyler Murray coming back next week. This should be a much better offense going forward. So James Conner, Marquise Brown, Ertz when he comes back from injury, McBride before that, even Michael Wilson, all on the up and up going forward because of Kyler Murray. But the Browns win this one 27-3 or 27-0, move to 5-3, and are still tied for second/last in the AFC North.
Yeah, 2 ups for here. Amari Cooper touchdown may have been a very lucky grab, but he had 2 huge plays on that day outside of that. So Amari Cooper is slowly becoming relevant in fantasy again. And Browns defense is rare shutout. These days, the defense has been great and keeps looking that way. The downs. Yeah, Marquise, not so Hollywood Brown, as the defense was tough on him all game. He had 8 targets and turned into not exactly much. He needs Kyler Murray back ASAP, all in caps, and Elijah Moore. Yeah, Browns have been trying to get him touches, but hasn't done much with them, only to today.
Yeah, moving on to another turd of a game. Packers win 20-3. Brett Rippon was terrible. He's now cut.
I sense a theme here today.
Aaron Jones at least got it going, got a touchdown. Looked like Aaron Jones a little bit.
Terrible.
But Packers get the win, move to 3-5. If the Packers can keep it going, maybe they can salvage a decent season. They're going to be in that purgatory zone, it looks like, with the draft pick either way. But the Rams, without Matthew Stafford, no Puka Nacua shares were worthwhile, no Cooper Kupp shares were worthwhile, nothing out of the backfield. So the Rams desperately need Matthew Stafford or the new heir apparent of Carson Wentz to come in and make this team fantasy relevant. But the Rams, tough division, looks like their season's going to go down the drain once again. The Packers, they get a win even though they're not much better than the Rams.
Yeah, just an utterly crappy game. So only one up and one down. Of course, Aaron Jones back in full force and was quote unquote unleashed with 24 total touches for 99 all-purpose yards and a touchdown. He is once again the clear alpha and most important piece in this offense when it flipping works, which is not usually this season. The down, boy, shared one Cooper Kupp and Puka. Yeah, one of the best receiving duos in the league struggling today due to not only bad weather, but a totally completely inefficient offense. They totaled a combined, are you ready for this flying? 80 yards and no scores.
Not what you want out of those two. Cooper Kupp will be fine once Matthew Stafford returns. I think Carson Wentz is a huge upgrade over Brett Rippon, so I think we'll be fine with those shares, but it was a tough Sunday against the Packers.
Good boy.
And moving on to the game and story of the
Who would have seen this coming? Anybody?
Houston with a 39-37 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Somebody here picked the right team. Right here.
Yeah, you did. And honestly, it didn't look like you were going to win till the very last seconds of this game. CJ Stroud, 470 passing yards and 5 touchdowns, the best performance by a rookie quarterback statistically in NFL history. The Bucks, White looks solid. Baker Mayfield wasn't bad in this game by any stretch of the imagination, but the Texans, between CJ Stroud, Tank Dell having a great connection, and the loss of their kicker leading to Dare Ogunbowale kicking a 29-yard field goal.
3 times real fast backwards.
I want to make a mention. They won by 2, and they had a backup running back kick a field goal successfully in this game. So Houston moves to 4-4, a very impressive win. CJ Stroud, clearly the rookie of the year, at least on the offensive side of the ball at this juncture, as he has looked outstanding. CJ Stroud, already more touchdown passes than Kenny Pickett in his career. And CJ Stroud looks like he should have went number 1 overall to Carolina, because we'll get to that game shortly. Bryce Young is struggling. The Buccaneers fall to 5-3, but I think you have to have some encouragement because the Texans have been a solid team all year, and they should have been able to win this game, blowing it on a last-second drive. CJ Stroud, 46 seconds was too much time to leave him.
Yeah, the ups for this game, of course, CJ Stroud tied a rookie record with 5 passing TDs on the day. Dalton Schultz, best day of his Texans career. Tank Dell, monster day with a game-winning TD for the young rookie. And how about Cade Otton? Even though he lost a fumble, he had 2 touchdowns, including 1 to take the lead with under a minute to play. Of course, the downs, the wet whiz. Tampa Bay's secondary, I'm not sure if they realized the game started at 1 p.m. Yeah, oh boy. You knew they were bad, but oh boy, that was fairly putrid. Chris Godwin was overthrown on what could have been a touchdown, but otherwise wasn't a factor. So, you definitely were sad if you started him in fantasy for week 9. And Devin Singletary, for any reason, you were plugging him in because Damian Pierce wasn't able to go. Yeah, this Houston running game is an absolute freaking shambles right now.
Yeah, I dropped Singletary in the Dynasty League for Keaton Mitchell of the Ravens just because I don't really need him to start now, and Singletary's just not been good. All right, another game that was underwhelming. Commanders 20-17 win.
I sense a trend here.
It wasn't a great week for football matchups. decent game as far as being competitive, but not fun to watch. Commanders 2017 win over the New England Patriots. The Patriots 2-7, worst team in the AFC. The Commanders 4-5, still somewhere in the midst of that wild card race. Jahan Dotson had a big week, but some injuries to the wide receivers may have given him some extra opportunities, so don't overreact to that on the waivers. But if he's out there, probably worth being on a roster at the very least. Brian Robinson, another touchdown in this one. Ramondre Stevenson had a very good game for the first time in a while, but the Patriots lose, the Commanders win.
Yeah, this game, let's for the ups. Yeah, Jahan Dotson. Just Curtis Samuel is the only thing keeping him from being a reliable wide receiver too right now.
Curtis Samuel did return to practice today, by the way.
Ramondre Stevenson, a 64-yard touchdown, helped him get off the fantasy milk carton, as many fantasy managers today were finally happy if you'd had any shares of Stevenson. And how about Antonio Gibson? He didn't light up the stat sheet, but he was more involved today, looked quick, and maybe a little promise for the future, hopefully. And for the Wes, Patriots third down defense. Patriots could not get off the field on third down, and it lost them the game. Mac Jones stinks, and stinks some more. And Sam Howell. Now, I know some say Sam Howell should be in the up category, and he definitely made some very good plays, but also made some questionable decisions in this game and was very, very lucky to come away with a win.
Yeah. He gets sacked a lot. He makes some key mistakes, but he does produce, at least for Howell. And we move on. Saints 24-17 win over the Chicago Bears. Taysom Hill, the weapon of choice in this one. Derek Carr looks like he's back, but Cole Kmet, 2 touchdowns for the Bear, was a stud in the fantasy world as well. The Bears fall to 2-7. They do play the Panthers on Thursday Night Football, which should hopefully be the last game without Justin Fields. The Saints, though, they play the Minnesota Vikings. Both teams 5-4 in what's a surprisingly pivotal, important matchup coming into week number 10 between two teams that have been a little bit disappointing this season.
Yeah, ups just to that'd be Taysom Hill threw and caught a touchdown today, and just all around useful weapon. Cole Kmet, as you mentioned, huge day for the Bears tight end with 2 scores, making managers happy if you started him. The Wes, Tyson Badgett, yeah, great first half, but a disastrous second half. As just you're sort of wondering not a lot of arm there. DJ Moore, you had that 1 week where Justin Fields and DJ Moore absolutely ruled fantasy, and now hopefully Justin Fields comes back, because minimal targets and a rare fumble absolutely killed the Bears and probably helped to kill your fantasy day. And oh boy, Michael Thomas was just blanketed in this one, and he just wasn't relevant.
Yeah. Not a great week for really anybody outside of Taysom Hill in this one. Next up, the Colts 27-13 win.
Including one Alvin Kamara.
Yeah. Over the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young, 3 touchdown passes in this game. However, 2 of them went to Kenny Moore, who is a defensive back for the Indianapolis Colts.
That's when you need the quote in from Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. You're going the wrong way.
Yeah, 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions for Bryce Young, and 2 of those interceptions went back to the house. The Colts do win 27-13. We did finally see the transition from a timeshare to all Jonathan Taylor in the running game for the most part, over 70% of snaps. So, Zach Moss, it was nice knowing you, but you probably are insurance and waiver fodder at this point. But the Colts get a big win over the Panthers, who fall to 1-7. The Colts are now going to Germany to play the Patriots next Sunday. Imagine those people in Germany. They go from Dolphins Chiefs for a battle at the top of the AFC to Colts and Patriots, the Special Olympics honorable mention game of the week next week.
A little bit of a downgrade there, as the downs of the ups, of course. Yeah, Kenny Moore, the second, 2 pick sixes off of Bryce Young, definitely highlight role material. Miles Sanders looked explosive in the second half. Once Carolina finally started putting the ball in his hands, the downs, of course, Yeah, Bryce Young, once again, 2 pick sixes thrown by the rookie single handedly, put the game out of reach. And where have you gone, Adam Thielen, with Young struggling? Thielen was often nowhere to be found. You know that if you started him in week 9. Going, where are the points, bro?
First bad week of the real season for him, so don't get too worried about Adam Thielen. He's been good, even though Bryce Young hasn't. I expect better things to come, especially tomorrow night against the Bears. All right. A lot to unpack in this next game with the Giants losing 30-6 to the Raiders. Daniel Jones leaves this game with a knee injury. Turns out to be a torn ACL. His season is done. So Tommy, don't call me Danny DeVito, will be the starter at least going forward for the Giants. He was not terrible in this one. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 75% completions, but they do lose to the Raiders 30-6. The Raiders look like a completely different team. Now, both Joel and I expected this team to come out and look very good this week because of the dismissal of Josh McDaniels. I don't know if you heard about the airing of grievances meeting the day that he got fired, but apparently that was a bad idea. Basically, everybody just came in, crapped on Josh McDaniels. It got up to senior leadership, and they said, okay, well, you're gone. But the Raiders win 30-6. Aiden O'Connell gets a big win. Josh Jacobs decent in this one. And yeah, the Raiders looked a lot better without Josh McDaniels, but how much that's the dead cat bounce and the ding dong, the witch is dead movement, or how much is this team's better than we expected?
Yeah, because the ups definitely Devontae Adams probably belongs in the down, but change in the inner sanctum of the Raiders promises a brighter future for this beleaguered whiteout. As shuffle out audible. Do you hang on to Adams or do you trade him new?
If you can trade him for close to namesake value, then I think you got to trade him. It looks like Aiden O'Connell is going to be the quarterback the rest of the way. They do have a difficult schedule coming up. I know they've got the Chiefs a couple times, and who else was it? They had a pretty tough schedule coming up. Las Vegas plays the Jets, a tough defense this week. Denver's in there. So Denver's defense looks a lot better lately. So if you can trade close to true value for Devontae Adams, probably not the worst time to do it. There's going to be someone in your league that needs a wide receiver, might be able to pay a little more than they would like to for a guy who's underperforming. But the Raiders, we'll see.
Another up, of course. Barkley, he is the only viable fantasy asset in this dumpster fire of an offense. And AOC, 209 yards, not a bad debut. Potential for the future if you can get some chemistry with Adams going, might have something there. And my one down, that would be New York Giants fans. My condolences.
Yeah. Wandale Robinson also deserves a mention. He's not going to have a huge role as long as it's Tommy DeVito at quarterback, but 4 catches, 35 yards, and a touchdown. He's at least going to be the number 1 for this team.
Yeah, because the Giants are paying $40 million to Daniel Jones, not playing quarterback.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Well, it's better than paying 2 head coaches to not coach.
good point.
Next up.
That's 80 mil.
Yeah. Next up, Eagles 28-23 win over the Dallas Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott go off in this one, but Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles get the job done. Dallas Goedert, a fracture in his forearm, or you could see it in the play. He gets tackled, the arm buckles here, which I don't know about anybody else. That doesn't bend at all. So you knew pretty quickly he was going to be out for at least the next few weeks. He's going to go in for surgery, probably out for the next month or so. But the Eagles, 8-1, top team in the NFL based on record. But the Cowboys on the road stood toe-to-toe with the top team in football. And I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you have to be at least optimistic that you can keep up with the Eagles.
Yeah, Dak Prescott handed in a very strong performance in the game that really, really mattered. He ended up making smart decisions with the ball. He didn't turn it over. He threw for over 350 yards and 3 touchdowns and finished with a QBR of 72.5. You really can't ask for too much more, as just the Eagles were just that much better than the Cowboys. And like his counterpart, Jalen Hurts, did nearly everything he could to ensure his team was taking the win today. His stat line, isn't as impressive as Prescott's, but he didn't turn the ball over, and he managed to convert the aptly coined tush push for multiple short yardage conversions today to keep the drives alive. Hurts tossed 2 touchdowns and ran for another while leading his team to victory. The down, a disappointing season for Brandon Cooks, who was targeted only twice and just caught 1 pass for 7 yards. He was outshined by both Gallup and Tolbert, as not to mention even Turpin, as that's one of those names that out there you go, who's that? Who's that? Can I pick them up? Especially if you have injuries. As he caught a touchdown whose only target turned it into an impressive return on special teams of all things. And I know it's a loaded backfield, but boy, other down, that'd be Rashard Penny was active, but he had 2 touches for 8 yards, probably causing a fantasy manager to scream many expletives somewhere.
If you're playing him, that's on you. He's been real bad. All right, next up.
Doesn't make sense to play Penny right now, right?
No. Worth noting, Jake Ferguson, very good in this game for the tight end for the Cowboys. Next up, Bengals 24-18 win over the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are now even odds to make and even odds to miss the playoffs at -110. The Bills, it really has started to fall apart. The Bengals, though, they got it done without their stars really being in this one. The touchdowns went to Irv Smith and Tanner Hudson, and Joe Mixon got one on the ground, fortunately. But the Bills, Josh Allen, good game. Stephon Diggs, good game. But outside of that, Gabe Davis was a donut for you if you played him after his big week last week, which is the Gabe Davis ride. You're going to have good, you're going to have bad. You're going to throw up both times. But that being said, the Bengals now 5-3. They've passed the Bills in the AFC standings. They are tied with the Steelers and Browns in the division, a game and a half behind the Baltimore Ravens on top, and still plenty of time to go. The Bengals look like they're back.
Yeah, they're back, definitely ups to Dalton Kincaid quickly became one of Josh Allen's go-to target receiving options. Clear must start at this point. Dalton Kincaid, another DK, quickly becoming one of Josh Allen's go-to receiving options. So, have both of those guys out there, and then just realize that's the same person. So, I'm repeating myself. As Joe Burrow, of course, season high in passing, can actually run again, as he said in a post-game interview. So that's pretty good. And all of a sudden, when you have both quarterbacks actually do things and get points on the board, yes, the downs besides my repeating the same guy. Yeah, go me.
You talked about Dalton Kincaid yet?
No, I think I might. I think I might not have. So I know. I figured it out. It's a glitch in the matrix, like when the cat walks by in the scene. Yes, the downs. That would be Gabe Davis is another disappointing disappearance game for Davis after Josh Allen barely looked his way. As you're probably going like, dude, what happened? But you gotta know it's all a part of the Gabe Davis ride. It's gonna be a roller coaster. You're going up and you're going down. This is one of the weeks that you're going down. And speaking of going down, James Cook, 10 touches, not much to show for it.
Garbage. Thank you, James Cook, for helping me win and get to 3-6 in the league right there. Fun fact, that league can have 4 and 6 teams from 4th until 10th if everything goes correctly. But the Bills, it looks real bad. And they get the Broncos next week. Denver's been resurgent. Buffalo has been bad. So we'll see about the Broncos game next week on Monday Night Football with the Bills. And Bengals, though, on a roll. Looks like they're going to keep going. Finally, a game that we all wish we didn't have to watch because it was a standalone game on Monday Night Football. The Chargers win 27-6 over the New York Jets. The Jets offense looks like Zach Wilson is running the offense. Nothing was going right, and it's not all Zach Wilson because I don't think Aaron Rodgers in there is making this a 40-point-a-game team by any stretch of the imagination. They have problems offensively that they have to get sorted out. but the Jets offense got nothing going. A punt return touchdown sparked things for the Chargers, and a couple short ones. One Austin Eckler touchdown on a one-play 2-yard drive. Offensively, this was a tough game to watch. The Chargers, though, get the win. They move to 4-4. They salvage their position in the wild card race, while the Jets falling to 4-4 has a much different vibe. And unfortunately for them, doesn't seem like Aaron Rodgers is coming back in the next week or two. Unfortunately for me as well, because we're going to Buffalo in a week and a half to watch the Bills and the Jets, and it looks like it's going to be Zach Wilson under quarterback.
Yeah, ups for this game. Austin Eckler, even in the worst of games, Chargers running back definitely can be relied on for fantasy output. Keenan Allen, efficient, effective, and always productive, as veteran was reliable when called upon to kickstart a stuttering pass offense game for the Chargers in the second half. And Brees Hall, the only bright spot for the Jets offense, Hall was terrific on the ground. He was just unlucky to have a couple of nice runs on the outside of the zone, pulled back for penalties, as that always just has to hurt when you do well and you're here holding offense and you're like expletive. Yeah, that'd be Zach Wilson. Yeah, performance likely to be the beginning of the end for Wilson in the NFL, as I can imagine Jets fans saying, please, please, please be true. Garrett Wilson just was outmatched and in contested situations struggled to keep his emotions in check throughout the contest, with only volume saving his fantasy day. Just not pretty at all. And if you started him, oh boy, yeah, Justin Herbert, an alarming, ineffective display from the Chargers quarterback who was struggling to connect with his receivers and showed inaccuracy under pressure. So you're going, how many points? Seriously, Justin, dude.
Yeah, not a great game to watch. Jets will be on Sunday Night Football next week against the Raiders. Just a PSA to have other plans. All right, moving to another game. We're all going to wish we had other plans. Again, this is the Loki season finale Thursday, so feel free to turn to Disney Plus and watch that instead. But on Thursday Night Football, we will have a game technically between two NFL teams. That is the Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears. The Bears own both of these first-round picks, so Bears really don't even care how this result comes out as far as the draft pick is concerned. Carolina, you're going to play Adam Thielen, and then you could play Hubbard or Sanders, but that's about it. Defenses for both teams could be in play because Bajent and Bryce Young are able to turn the ball over. For the Bears, Cole Kmet, I think, is the only surefire lock. DJ Moore has been terrible since Justin Fields has left the lineup, and I don't think he gets a whole lot better this week, but you may want to play him just because he is DJ Moore. And in the backfield, Khalil Herbert could be back. That throws a huge monkey wrench into the system. So it could just be Cole Kmet, Adam Thielen, and maybe some running backs or DJ Moore in this matchup. It's Thursday night. We have a game with a combined 3 wins as we go into week number 10. Who gets the win?
Yeah, this is kind of one of those ugly matches to pick game wise, and you're just trying to figure out. I think I'm going to pick the fact that the Carolina Panthers actually have something to play for, since the Bears seem to really not give an utter crap about the season. They have the 2 picks, so it doesn't really matter to them whether they win or they lose. Of course, they like to win. Everybody likes to win more. But I just think the Panthers seem to be just a little bit more motivated than the Bears. And you're still going to have Tyson Badgett, of course, behind the center, who sometimes has looked like a quarterback who's going to be coming out of nowhere and just take the NFL by storm, and then back to life, back to reality. So, yeah, I know you don't have a lot of confidence in the Panthers' offense, but I think that would be the way to go, is to pick the Panthers to get off the schneid. They did just win recently, and you honestly don't know which Bears team is going to show up.
I'm going to take the Bears just because I think they are the more talented team. They do have better pieces. They did stand toe-to-toe with the Saints, who isn't a great team, but it's still better than a lot of the others that Carolina has played. and Carolina just looks utterly defeated. You couldn't get anything going offensively against a bad Indianapolis Colts defense last week. I'm just going to take Chicago because I don't really want to talk about this game any further. They're at home. And again, Loki, season 2 finale, 9 p.m. on Disney Plus. For those of you who like football,
If only
but
we were
don't,
getting a sponsorship by Disney.
yeah, but if you like football and you don't want it ruined by Thursday Night Football, there is an option on Disney Plus for anybody who is interested. Also, taking a nap or going to bed early are options as well in this one. Anyways, that is our PSA for Thursday Night Football. And Joel, go ahead with your final thought.
Yes, a final thought actually germane to football, as it was a disastrous week for the NFC South after finally win in 23. Week 8, the Panthers celebrated by getting stomped by the Colts. Saints, of course, the only team to win. Bucks and Falcons having a masterclass on how not to coach. Bucks lose to a one-dimensional Texans, who could not run worth a darn. And the Falcons who lost to Josh Dobbs, who wasn't even scheduling the start for the Vikings. So, my final thought is kind of a sports shuffle audible. Who was worse for the day? Arthur Smith or Todd Bowles? My vote goes to Bowles.
Oh, I go Arthur Smith. I mean, at least with Bowles, you've got a Texans team that's on the rise, not on decline with an injured quarterback. And you've got a guy who might be one of the best quarterbacks in the league already, but at least in the next year or two, he should establish himself as one of the top guys. You lost to Josh Dobbs, who've been there for 5 days. Arthur Smith, you lose. I do want to quickly, before I do my proper final thought, talk about how the Carolina Panthers had to trade up, give up DJ Moore, the number 9 overall pick, and other picks to get Bryce Young when you see CJ Stroud doing what he's doing, which proves the scouting process is definitely not exact science. But my final thought is going to be that NBC Sunday Night Football is being sued. It's being sued for false advertising because we are, in fact, not all going to be waiting all day for Sunday night this week because it's Jets freaking Raiders. We are in the flex time of year. Why is this the game we're going to be watching? Given Jacksonville, San Francisco would be a great game to put in that slot. Detroit at the Chargers, great game to put in that slot. Hell, I'll take Minnesota, New Orleans because it's at least 2 5-4 teams with a lot to play for. Yes, I know the Jets are 4-4. Yes, I know Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be there. But it's still the Jets. You knew the Jets were going to somehow screw up everything because that's what the Jets do. The Raiders were a complete dumpster fire until about 7 days ago when they fired Josh McDaniels. Why are we not watching Cleveland and Baltimore on Sunday Night Football or any of the Washington, Seattle is more appealing than Jets, Vegas. There's not, Green Bay, Pittsburgh. Let's keep that in the early window. That's trash. But for the most part, Houston, Cincinnati. You're telling me you don't think that Houston, Cincinnati's game is going to be very entertaining? And you know why it's not getting flexed, Joel? Because they forgot to put the paperwork in early enough. They realized it was going to be a turd, but you have to do it within 12 days of the game. That was trade deadline day, and they didn't get the paperwork in time. Nobody wants to watch Jets Raiders unless you're a Jets fan or a Raiders fan. And if you are, my condolences. But NBC, please change your promo for this week because we are, in fact, not waiting all day for Sunday night. We are waiting all day to go to bed early because that's what that game is all about.
We are waiting all day to watch something on streaming.
Yes, again, Loki season 2 finale. If you don't watch it on Thursday, it'll still be there on Sunday. And season 2's been great. So if you want to watch it again. It's better than this turn. We're going to put it on Sunday Night Football.
Or watch Ahsoka, which actually wasn't bad.
We should be sponsored by Disney Plus because we're Marvel and Star Wars nerds, and we've probably watched more of that than we should probably admit to. I haven't watched Ahsoka yet, but I've heard very good things. I don't know if you watched Loki, but it's probably the best thing Marvel's done, not including Guardians of the Galaxy 3 since Endgame. So, NBC, shame on you for forgetting you can get better games than this. That's my soapbox. Anyways, I didn't die as much as I thought I would with the coughing this week. So that's good news, as that means we're going in the right direction. Joel is now up 15 games in the pick'em. The stats behind me on the top, they're not good. All the fantasy records are good. Yeah, it's just Joel keeps getting games right. So probably means Carolina's going to win tomorrow night. That's what I'm trying to say.
Better than my fantasy year. Yeah.
I would rather be good at fantasy than good at picks, but I really like to be good at both. Yeah, again, a little too serious. If everything goes right, there's going to be 4th to 10th, all at 4-6. And as a 3-6 team, that's what I'm hoping for. Anyways, as it goes. We'll be back later this week for the picks for the rest of week number 10. We're already in week number 10. How is it going by so quickly, Joel? And the next week, a little bit awkward on the schedule, as I'll be flying to Buffalo Friday night. So we'll have to get all of our stuff done before that.
I've heard time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana.
Yeah. But yeah, next week, a little bit odd because of the trip to Buffalo. Jets, Bills in Buffalo is going to be a fun experience. Looks like the weather's not going to be too bad. In the 50s is the high, but better than 15 and blizzard. As you know, Buffalo could be this time of year. Anyways, that is our time. I am flying Ryan Gilchrist along with
Tampa Mouth, Joel Verlin.
And again, we'll be back later this week with the rest of our week 10 picks.
Either tomorrow or sweater day.
Yeah, tomorrow, Saturday, Friday, one of those. Not tomorrow, actually, Friday or Saturday. Yeah, there's some decent matchups on this schedule that I'm looking at over here. So not Jets, Vegas, of course, but there's some decent sneaky ones in there, I think. And we will pick those and talk about everything that's going on. And with that, we gone.